Welcome to Concrete Block, your premier source for in-depth analysis and unbiased discussion of the world's most pressing issues. I'm your host, Walter, and we're glad you're joining us today. We're starting off with a story that's making waves in the world of international diplomacy and defense. The United States, under the leadership of President Donald Trump, has announced a review of the AUKUS pact, a trilateral security agreement between the US, Australia, and the United Kingdom. This pact, which was first announced in 2021, aims to enhance cooperation on advanced defense technologies, including nuclear-powered submarines. Now, the review itself isn't necessarily surprising, given the change in administration and the natural desire of any new government to assess existing agreements. However, what's interesting is the potential implications this could have for the future of the pact and the relationships between these three nations. On one hand, supporters of AUKUS argue that it's a vital partnership for maintaining stability and security in the Indo-Pacific region. They point to the significant investments being made by all three countries, including Australia's commitment to purchase nuclear-powered submarines from the US and contribute to the US defense industrial base. On the other hand, critics are warning that delays or changes to the pact could undermine its effectiveness and create uncertainty among allies. There are also concerns about the potential for shifting political dynamics to impact the agreement, given the different priorities and agendas of the various governments involved. It's worth noting that the UK has recently commenced its own parliamentary inquiry into AUKUS, and British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has declared the pact a centerpiece of his government's national security strategy. Meanwhile, the US has been urging Australia to increase its defense spending to 3.5% of GDP, which could have significant implications for the country's military capabilities and budget. As we delve deeper into this story, it's clear that there are many complex factors at play. We'll be examining the potential consequences of this review and what it might mean for the future of AUKUS and global security. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into a complex and intriguing topic that has significant implications for global politics and international relations. Today, we're exploring the contrasting approaches taken by the United States towards two regimes that have risen to power in recent years: the Taliban in Afghanistan and the new leadership in Syria. As we examine these situations, it's essential to consider the historical context and the various factors at play. The Taliban, having spent years fighting against the former government and international forces, has managed to gain control of Afghanistan. Meanwhile, in Syria, a new leadership has emerged after the ousting of Bashar al-Assad, with Hayat Tahrir al-Sham's Abu Muhammad al-Jolani playing a key role. One notable difference between these two scenarios is the level of engagement and recognition from the international community, particularly the United States. While the US has been hesitant to engage with the Taliban, there are indications that it may be adopting a more pragmatic approach towards Syria's new leadership. This raises important questions about the effectiveness of isolation versus engagement in shaping the behavior of these regimes. It's also crucial to acknowledge the unique geopolitical dynamics at play in each region. Syria, situated at the crossroads of the Middle East, holds significant strategic value for various global powers, including Turkey, Russia, and Iran. In contrast, Afghanistan has often been viewed as a more isolated region, despite its importance in the context of international security. As we navigate these complex issues, it's essential to consider multiple perspectives and avoid simplistic or biased approaches. The US, having played a significant role in shaping the trajectory of both countries, must now grapple with the consequences of its actions and decide how to move forward. Will early engagement with Syria's new leadership yield more positive results than isolation, or will it embolden extremist elements? Can the Taliban learn from Abu Muhammad al-Jolani's pragmatic approach, and what would this mean for Afghanistan's future? These are just a few of the questions we'll be exploring in greater depth as we continue to follow these developments. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. Today, we're diving into the complex and sensitive topic of India-Pakistan relations, specifically focusing on the recent developments that have led to a significant shift in the dynamics between these two nations. As always, our goal is to provide a fair and balanced analysis, avoiding any bias and presenting the facts as they are. The situation between India and Pakistan has been tense for decades, with various incidents and events contributing to the strained relationship. Recently, we've seen a notable escalation, with both countries engaging in a diplomatic blitz on the global stage. The Indian government has been actively promoting its narrative, while Pakistan has been working to counter that narrative and present its own perspective. One of the key aspects of this situation is the role of international intelligence agencies. Interestingly, these agencies have been corroborating Pakistan's view, which has led to a significant shift in the global perception of the conflict. This, in turn, has put pressure on India to re-evaluate its approach and consider a more cooperative stance. Another crucial factor is the issue of terrorism and the presence of various groups in the region. Pakistan has been taking concrete steps to address these concerns, complying with the requirements of the Financial Action Task Force and going above and beyond to deal with these groups. However, India still maintains that more needs to be done, and the lack of cooperation and intelligence sharing between the two countries remains a significant obstacle. The history of the region is complex, and it's essential to understand the context in which these events are unfolding. The legacy of the Mujahideen and jihadist groups, which were initially supported by the United States and other countries during the Soviet-Afghan War, continues to have an impact on the situation today. Pakistan's efforts to deal with these groups and address the reputational damage are ongoing, but it's clear that a more collaborative approach is needed to move forward. As we conclude this segment, it's essential to acknowledge that the situation between India and Pakistan is multifaceted and nuanced. Both countries have legitimate concerns, and a peaceful resolution will require cooperation, understanding, and a willingness to engage in constructive dialogue. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.